It's Sunday morning, it's 7:30, and I thought that you might like to see the cat's clawing me. This is how I get woken up, isn't it? Because it's getting lighter in the mornings now, it's more difficult. That's Moe. That's a scratcher. And that's Nana. Morning, Nana. That's my Freedy Freed. Anyway, I'm gonna have my wash from Frida. He does this every morning. Thank you, darling. Yeah. Hello, bees. It's just getting light. This is how I'm woken up every morning, which is very lovely, isn't it? It's very lovely. But this is how. There's no extra long lines, even on a Sunday, because everyone wants their breakfast and their walk. So gonna get up and get them all sorted, and I'll talk to you later. Have a nice Sunday morning. I'll talk to you later on. Well, I hope I'm looking a bit better than I did first thing this morning when I introduced you to my wake up routine. It's a gorgeous day here. It's pretty cold, but the sun is absolutely stunning. You can probably see, I hope you can see behind me, the woodland. It goes for miles and miles and miles and miles. Big portion of this woodland belongs to me. And the reason I'm saying that is because today, thank goodness, is the last day of the hunting season. The hunting season runs usually between the end of September and the end of February, the last Sunday in February, and that's today, which I'm absolutely delighted about. The Chasse and I have a very uneasy relationship. I've lived in this house for 10 years, and it's been a battle with them every single year. When I walk the dogs in the mornings, you're supposed to just sort of make way for the Chasse because they're here, and that's not entirely unreasonable, but you should also be allowed to walk your dogs without fear of being shot, being run over. Last year, this is why I'm delighted the season's finished. Last year, when I was out walking the dogs one morning, I had to step in front of a van because he was not going to stop without running my dogs over. He was just going to carry on, so I had to jump in front of his van to tell him to stop, and he calmly stopped his van, got out of his van, and a big lad, and several decades younger than me, I should imagine, and he just got hold of my collars of my coat and threw me backwards down a rather high bank, and I broke 2 ribs, or he broke 2 of my ribs. And then just got back into his car and drove off again. In my garden, which is surrounded by woodland, I've had hunters in the garden with their dogs coming in through there, and I've got, you know, my animals. I want them to be safe. I want me to be safe. and when you're asking them to get off your property, I've had someone stand in front of me with a rifle pointed point blank at my chest, telling me to be quiet, not to call the police, or there'll be repercussions. I've had rifles pointed point blank at the dogs, telling me to go back home to England in no uncertain terms. Another reason why I'm pleased the season has finished. We all understand the reason why hunters are there. They're there to keep numbers down in the wildlife, mainly the wild boar and the deer, who can be quite destructive in farms and vineyards and what have you. So I understand the need to cull the population, which can grow out of control. And they are, by law, required to do it with humanity. And unfortunately, certainly in this department, in my experience, there's a complete lack of humanity with the hunters. It's more of a blood sport, and excuse me, it's much more of a blood sport, and it's inhumane and murderous and deeply upsetting. Last night I was in the garden and there was noise, and I had to come out with my torch, and the garden was full of wild boar. And yeah, I don't want wild boar in the garden, but what can you do? They're here, but they're not humanely culled, which I find deeply upsetting. It's part of the joys of living in the countryside. You have to take living in the countryside here with all of the risks, but you don't really expect that you are going to be at risk in your own garden. The news reports every single year across France where people of all ages have been going about their business completely innocently, whether they've been out walking or whether they've been at home in their gardens, and they've been shot and killed by the hunters. And you know what? When these hunters are charged, they are never charged with murder. They're always charged with something else less than murder. And pretty much when the reports go into the newspaper, it was a terrible accident, it was a terrible accident, and they're never sent away, they're never sent to prison. There's a growing army of people across the country that are calling for change in the chasse, not necessarily to stop it, although there is a movement to stop it as well. It's gathering pace, but it's taking so many years. To say, I've been here for 10 years and it doesn't seem to have changed too much. So when the last Sunday in February comes around, I walk my dogs with trepidation, but knowing that next Sunday we'll be able to walk in peace and quiet, because they'll be gone. They are allowed to hunt on bank holidays, of which France has quite a lot. One day last year, it was November the 11th actually, and I was out walking the dogs, and of course everyone knows November the 11th is Armistice Day, and Europe respects it, and France respects it massively, and the churches are full, and all of the ex-military people in all of the towns and villages all go to church to pay their respects, apart from the chasse, the hunters. And I stopped them one last year on the 11th. I was walking the dogs early in the morning and they were out, and I was like, can I ask a question? And they was like, what? I said, well, it's the 11th of the 11th. It's the day that peace was declared across Europe and that the killing was to stop, and yet here you are on the 11th morning killing. And they shrug their shoulders and just say, it's a ferié day, it's a bank holiday, we can do what we like. They've got little or no respect for other people, for safety, security. Christmas Eve, the Christmas Eve just gone, they were across all of my property, all of my land, and everyone else's, and because it was Christmas Eve, they'd had a few drinks, and it was absolute carnage. And you're trying to sort of find your animals, get them in, get them safe, because when you're in your garden and the gunfire is all around you, you don't know where these people are because the forests and woods are so thick. But one of those shots could easily come through and hit you or one of your animals. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about the last Sunday in February. It's the last day of the chasse, thank goodness. It's a blight, they're inhumane, and I know everyone has different experiences of the chasse. You know, they do their most bit. Every year they have an evening where they can go and eat, you know, where the villagers turn out and go and eat with the chasse. Not something I've ever wanted to do. I don't want that relationship with them. They've made living here during the winter months incredibly difficult, incredibly scary, and two is broken, incredibly painful. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. It was a bit of an insight into tiny little insight into what happens here during the winter months with the hunters. You either love them or you hate them. I hate them. But I'm going to stop now and go and put my feet up and watch the rugby, France, Scotland. So have a great Sunday afternoon, everyone. And thanks for sticking with me. I'm learning slowly how to get these things done. And I hope that anybody new watching will like and subscribe, or anybody old that's watching that hasn't liked and subscribed to do the same thing. And I will catch up with you again soon, and have a great day.